a group of 20 people barged in to the APU campus, broke past security, spray painted and vandalized campus property, harassed and assaulted students.
A fact-finding report released in Bengaluru on May 15th has alleged that Azim Premji University failed to adequately respond to the violence that took place on its campus in February 2026 and instead took disciplinary action against students. The report released at the Press Club Bangalore by several civil society organizations examined the events surrounding the February 24th incident in which individuals allegedly linked to the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad entered the university campus, vandalized property and allegedly assaulted students during protests against a reading circle event organized by SPARK-APU. According to the report, police initially registered an FIR against ABVP members based on a complaint filed by the university's head of security. However, a second FIR was later filed against SPARK-APU following a complaint by the university registrar. The report also highlighted that disciplinary proceedings were initiated against students and faculty members, with one student reportedly suspended for 2 years earlier this month. The fact-finding team claimed that the university administration had prior information about possible tensions on campus but failed to take adequate preventive measures. It further criticized the administration for not publicly condemning the violence or demanding strict action against those involved in the attack. The report stated that many students and faculty members viewed the FIR against SPARK-APU and the disciplinary proceedings as disproportionate and lacking transparency. It also argued that increased surveillance and security measures on campus had created fear among students instead of ensuring safety and open dialogue. The fact-finding committee condemned the alleged actions of the ABVP mob, describing the incident as vigilantism and calling for strict legal action. It further stated that such incidents reflect a larger pattern of restrictions on student expression in universities across the country. The report demanded that all charges against SPARK-APU be withdrawn, the suspended students punished be revoked, and that police conduct a fair and speedy investigation. For more such updates, stay tuned to Daily Salar Digital.
If you are instituting a special disciplinary committee and not going through regular university channels, you need to make a justification. APU needs to give a justification as to why there's a special procedure that is required. Fine, you've instituted a special disciplinary committee. Students have to know what is the mandate of this committee, what are the procedures to be followed, what is the processes that have to be instituted. Students did not know anything. Students did not know what the mandate of the committee is, how many hearings will be there, and importantly, students received a notice to come appear before this committee only 2 days before the hearing. That means that students did not have any time to prepare. Students were also not told the charges that they will be defending before the committee, which means that students were called in blind. So the students have gone in blind. In that one hearing, students have been told their charges and they've been asked to immediately defend themselves on spot. Students were not given time to file a reply. Students were not given time to come back and give their responses, which means on the basis of that one hearing, students have been disciplined, including one suspension, right? This is against principles of basic justice, basic natural justice, which is present in all the laws and our constitution. The other thing for us to importantly look at is on what basis these charges were made, right? The student was suspended on the charge that she did not de-escalate the situation. Now you have an ABVP mob that has entered the university. Who has allowed the ABVP mob to enter the university? I'm not saying APU asked the mob to come, but it was the responsibility of APU to stop ABVP from entering the campus. After it has entered the campus, is it APU's responsibility to stop the mob from hurting the students, or is it the responsibility of the students to fight against the mob? That is my basic question. Then how can a student be suspended on the ground that the student did not de-escalate the situation? It's very clear that the entire procedure and process that has been adopted by APU to discipline its students is completely illegal and arbitrary and will not stand in the court.
Basically, as we have mentioned that countering ABVP's systematic violence on students on campuses is very important. So our viewpoint is that like student bodies, student elections, student unions should be there on campus to counter this rampant majoritarian influence of ABVP, because as we see, like, administration is also continuously bowing down to ABVP pressure and the students find themselves helpless. So that is there. Like, there should be like a renewal of student democracy, student politics, student bodies on campus. So that's what our points are.
The incident took place in February 24th, 2026. A group of 20 people barged in to the APU campus, broke past security, spray painted and vandalized campus property, harassed and assaulted students, sloganeered saying that students are with the Indian Army, Kashmir is an integral part of India. They were calling for the ban of a student body called SPARK. See, now what is all this about? They were responding to an announcement of a reading circle. SPARK-APU is a student body that was organizing a discussion on the 35-year-old incident of Kunan Poshpora, where 23 women in the villages Kunan and Poshpora were gang raped by the Indian Army. A lot of fact findings have been done. Various human rights organizations have spoken up about this. We have Justice Verma committee who has explicitly acknowledged how AFSPA is abused and the kind of crimes that have taken place. It is not a new issue. And the AFSPA granting impunity to the Indian Army is not a new issue. So doing a reading circle about this is very well within their scope and rights as students to think critically about significant events of the Indian history. Now, what is ABVP calling for? They want SPARK to be banned. They harassed students who were wearing skull cap, chased a student who was wearing a hijab because they were just returning from their roza. This was the incident. Fact finding, we first said, let's go express solidarity, let us speak to students and understand how they're feeling. There was an environment of fear because the university failed after the incident to make the campus safe for students. What did they do instead? They made more restrictions, more surveillance, more kind of, faculty mentors to be assigned to every single student activity. These kind of restrictions increased and the students spoke of this environment within the campus as if it was their fault that the ABVP mob has come. So we went, visited the campus, spoke to the students, we spoke to the police, we've spoken to faculty members. Administration has refused to speak to us. But what we are saying in our report is the only party to be held responsible for this incident is the ABVP mob. They're all adults. The police told us none of them are minors. They're all adults. They knew what they were doing. They need to be held accountable under BNS provisions, and strict, fair, swift investigation needs to take place. But the counter FIR and the university's decision to suspend a student for 2 years from her master's course is extremely disproportionate, and we condemn this. We demand that the suspension must be immediately revoked, and we demand that the university course corrects. It is high time that they listen to the concerns of the students, because students, whether they agree with SPARK or not, they are unanimous about one thing: student expression cannot be curbed. And therefore, our report is in solidarity with the students and is saying that the administration better correct their course right now and say that we will listen to their concerns and support and build a create an environment where critical learning is possible, discussion is possible, free thinking is possible. APU claims itself to be very progressive. Its actions, in fact, last week ABVP groups have been posting that the APU's decision to suspend the student is a victory of ABVP. So if you're a progressive institution, your actions are being read as something that is directly feeding into their narrative. It is high time we are all people who have worked with APU in some capacity or the other. We are trying to say that the administration must wake up, the police must conclude the investigation swiftly and fairly, and the suspension must be revoked.